Hi, and welcome to session 2 of HTML Fundamentals offered by the Clifton Park Half Moon Library. Tonight we're going to be dabbling into some topics like adding style to your HTML elements, creating a page format for your web page, adding links, using the link tag, using the image tag, using a video tag, and then talking about unordered lists and ordered lists. So why don't we get started? First thing we're going to talk about tonight is the style attributes that you can add to your HTML elements. There's another whole subject called CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and that allows you to do amazing things to the look and feel of your web pages. The Clifton Park Library will be offering another 3-session class solely on CSS in July, so stay tuned for that. Let's see, the format of the style attribute is as follows. I'm going to use a p tag for our example. So say you had a p tag, and inside the p tag, you had the text example of the style color attribute, right? Oops. And I'll close it. I'll do a closing p tag. And I'll expand. Now I'm doing this in Notepad. Remember, in HTML, the text editor will be Notepad. You should also use Notepad++, which has even more functionality for you to develop your HTML code. And so inside this P element, this paragraph element, I'm going to add the style attribute. So the format is style equals, let's see, double quotes, and I'm going to add the color attribute. So the attribute name is color, and I'm going to separate the name from the value with a colon. So it's color, colon, and then I'm going to do red. And then finish it with a double quote, and that's it. So I'll highlight the style attribute is inside the paragraph tag element, and let's see. So the format is style equals double quotes, and then inside the double quotes is the name of the property and colon, and then the value of the property. All right. So let's see. I'm going to just save this. So I'll do a file. I'll do save as. And I will choose this class's folder, my website. And down below, I'll make sure that I'm doing instead of text documents.txt, I choose all files. And I'm going to call this file style. So style.html is what I named my file. So I'll save it. All right. And now I'll go out to File Explorer. So I right click on the start down in the bottom left. And I bring up File Explorer. I go out to my website, and I'm going to click on Style. And let's see if that comes up, and it does. All right. So I'm going to shrink this down. So when I run my file, you notice that off to the right in the web browser, I now have example of the style color attribute being displayed. So I've made the p tag have style, and the style I gave it, the property I gave it was the color, and I made it red. So the text in this p tag is now red. All right. So now, if you want to add multiple properties using the style attribute, you do that by you separate the properties with a semicolon. So if you look at Notepad on the left, I've got style equals double quotes colon color colon red, and then I'll add a semicolon, and now I'm going to add the background color property. The background dash color, and separate it with a colon, the property name with the value, and I'm going to make the background, what would stand out? How about, I'll make it blue. All right, so if you have multiple properties using the style attribute, you want to separate the property name, color, with a colon. So the property name is separated with a colon, and between the property name and the value. And then if you want to separate multiple properties, you use a semicolon. So I'm going to save this and run it. I'll right click on Start. I'll go to File Explorer. Well, actually, I don't have to. Let me show you how I can do this. So this file I save as style.html. I did a file, I did a save, and now off to the right in the web browser, I've got my I've got the file style.html already pulled up, and if I just refresh it, now it makes the background of the paragraph element, it makes it blue. So color makes the text that color, and the background dash color property makes the background color of that element blue. All right. And you can add style to any element in HTML. So say I want to make the background color. All right, I'll take this out. Background color is blue. And say I want to make the whole body, the body tag have a background color of blue. So I would do lesson sign body, and I will add the style right here. So you copy the whole thing. So style equals double quotes. Background's going to be blue. Double quotes, and end it there. And then I'll put the closing body tag down below. So I'll do the closing body tag. Down below. And now I'll save this file. So file, save, and then off to the right, I have this file up in a web browser already, and I'll just click the reload this page, the refresh. And now the background color of blue is not just in the paragraph tag, but it's for the whole body, the whole section of your HTML page that is going to have your content. So besides using the actual color name for the color property when you're using the style attribute, you can also use a hash value or an RGB values. All right. So I'm going to add style to a heading 1 tag. And I will call this use the color name of blue. And close that out with the H1 tag. Oops. So I will add the style attribute inside the H1 tag. So style equals the quotes color colon, and then I'll use a hash value. So the hash value for blue, and you can look this up on the internet, is 0000FF. Okay. And now I will do the same, and I'll show you how to use the RGB format for the color blue. Now you're going to do that on an H3 tag instead of an H1, so we can see a difference. And use the color name of blue. Instead of using the color name, I'm going to use the hash value, and down here I'm going to use the RGB value of blue. And the way to do that is, instead of having hash, we're going to use RGB parenthesis 0, 0, 255. And that should do it. Now, since I'm making our H1 and H3 tags blue, I don't want the background to be blue. So let's see, what would stand out? How about yellow? So I'll change the body background color style to yellow. And then I will save my file. I'll go over to my web page on the right. I'll refresh it. Now the background body color is yellow. And this first H1 tag, this one that says use the hash value of blue is blue, using the hash value. And this H3 tag down below is also blue, and it's using the RGB value. So there's several ways to call up a color that you might want. And like I said before, if you're on the internet, all the colors are out there with the color names, the hash values, and the RGB value, okay? All right, so moving on, Next, we're going to talk about formatting your page and the different tags that HTML has for you to format your page correctly. Pretty much all websites have a layout that is comprised of 3 sections. There's the header section, which might contain the name of your company, a logo, images, menu, navigation. There's the main content section, which most of your text goes here. It's the main section. It's got all your content. And lastly, you have a footer section, which might have some social media icons, links to other resources, contact information. So using these tags, why don't we lay out our website? So I can use what I have right now. I'll get rid of this P tag. Now, I should have these H1 tags indented inside the body, right? And eventually I'm going to need the body indented also. So we're going to start with the header tag. All right. So it's less than, header, greater than, and I'll do the closing tag. And inside the header, you can have the nav tag for navigation. So you might want to put your menu inside these nav tags, which go inside the header tags. All right. Next up, we're going to have the main tags. So of course, our body tags and all that goes inside the body tags will be in the main tag. All right. Now, inside the main tag, there are several other tags. So what you want to put inside the main tag, if you feel like it, you can create sections of your page. So I can have a section tag. It includes all this body content, right? Oops. All right. Another thing you can have, and you should have multiple sections, right? So I should do another section here. You can break up your web page by sections to make it more readable. Sorry, I forgot the ending tag of this section. And you also can have an article tag. All right. So and lastly, not lastly, but in the main section, inside the section tags or inside the article tags, you can have an aside tag. And what an aside is it includes things like advertising, things that aren't part of the content of your web page. So if I wanted to, I could have an aside inside the session area. So it's called aside. I put it here? So you have some kind of advertising in here, and I'll just close out the aside tag. All right, so that's most of the layout, and we have one final thing. We can have a footer area. So footer tag, and like I said before, the footer can contain things like social media icons, contact information, stuff like that, other resource links. Now, some of the reasons why you want to use these format tags or layout tags for your web page is using these tags are not required, but they are very helpful to allow your code to be readable. All right, and especially if you use indentation and you're consistent using your tags a certain way, you're having a header, a main, and a footer section. The structure allows for way better SEO, which stands for search engine optimization, which is how search engines like Google are able to figure out what the structure and content of your web page is all about, and that helps your web page get ranked higher, so it's found a lot more easier. So the next HTML element that we're going to talk about, which is hugely important, are called links. All right, so links are found on nearly all web pages, and they allow users to click back and forth between pages. HTML links are hyperlinks. You can click on a link and jump to another document. When you move the mouse over a link, the mouse arrow will turn into a little hand. Note, a link does not have to be text. A link could be an image, or it could be another HTML element. The syntax of HTML links are basically they use an A tag. A stands for anchor, and I'll put it here in my body tag. So you would do lesson sign A space href equals, and then in double quotes you would do the link. So if we want to do www, or we'll do this flipped in, but for now we'll just have the URL. I'll just put URL in double quotes, so it's the address that you want to go to, and then you would close out the A tag, and then you would put the link text, and then you would do a closing A tag. Oops. Okay. Closing. All right. So now let's do a real example. Okay. So say you want to link out to a website. So we want to use the whole address. All right. So instead of URL in double quotes, I'm going to put HTTPS, and then it's // and I'm going to link out to the Eclipse and Park Half Moon library. So CPHLIBRARY.org. Oops, come on back. .org and /. And that's all wrapped in double quotes. And I'll change the text to say, visit our library. All right, so let's spread this out. All right, so now I'm going to do a file and I'll do save as. And I will go into my folder, my website. And we're going to call this file link.html. And I'm going to make sure the save as type is all files and not text documents, not .txt. So now I have link.html. I'll do save. And I'll replace it. Okay. And we want to run this file now. So I'll do File Explorer. My website. And I'll click on link. And off to the right, you can see that it runs beautifully. So I've got the text, visit our library, and it's underlined and it's in a bluish color. And if I click on this, it should take me out to the Clifton Park Library, let's see. There it is. Clifton Park Library's homepage. All right, so let's see. So the href attribute inside the A tag right here specifies the destination address of the link. The link text, in this case it's visit our library, is the visible part on your web page. And clicking on the link text will send you to the specified address. And that's how links work. Note, without a / at the end of a subfolder addresses, you might generate 2 requests to the server. Many servers will automatically add a / to the end of the address and then create a new request. So, so in the address, a lot of times I end it with, just to be safe, I end it with a /. So the web browser knows where to go. Now, if you wanted to link out to a file that's a local link, so I'll do a copy of this. I'll do a BR tag. So I get a space, a line break. All right, so I'm going to do a local tag now. And instead of the Clifton Park Library, I just want to I want to call up a page that I have in the folder where my link.html file lives. So I'm going to call up from last class. I'm going to call up index.html. Oops. Double quotes and close it out. I'll just put the text index page. Index page. All right, so I'm going to do file, I'm going to do a save. And off to the right, I can just refresh this page. Nope, actually I have to go back, so I back arrow. And now you can see I've got the visit our library link, which would take me out to the Clifton Park Library. So off to the left in Notepad, you can see that's the first link, visit our library. Then the second link is just called index page. So if I click on that, it'll take me to the index page that lives in the folder where my links.html page is. If I click on it, oh, that can't be reached. So by doing a local link of index.html, and if you look over to the right in my web browser, I've got visit our library, but then I have index page. If I click on index page, it should run my index.html program, which right now is set to just display hello there. All right, so I'll click on index page, boom, hello there. And I can go back, I can click on visit our library, and it goes out to the Clifton Park Library. And I can go back to my link HTML page. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about with links is there's a couple of target attributes that you can use to either, the default is _self. And that attribute, what it does is opens the link document in the same window or tab as it was clicked on. All right, so if you look over to the right in my web browser, that's using _self, that attribute. All right, so you don't have to use that attribute because it's the default. But if you want to click on a link and go to a brand new web page, then you want to use _target. So I can show you how I would use that. So if I want, say I want visit our library to go out to a brand new web browser session, then I would inside this H tag, if you're looking over on the left, I would have href equals double quotes, the address and double quotes, and then I would add a space. I would put target equals double quote, and then it's _ blank, and then double quote, and that's it. So now I will do a file, I'll do a save. I'll do a refresh of my links.html page in my web browser. Now, if I click visit our library, I'm going to go to a brand new page. All right. So you can see a brand new page opened up. Oh, actually, target. I spelled target wrong. So file, save, go back here. I'll do a refresh. Hit visit our library, and it opens up a brand new web browser session. So hit close. So that's if you do want your link to go to and open up a brand new page, a brand new web browser session, then use target equals _ blank, but otherwise the default is target equals _ self, and you will just stay on the page where the link exists. All right. The next thing I want to tell you about with links is that images, you should link off an image to go to a web page. All right. So HTML links using an image as a link. And let's see, how are we going to do this? I use this instead of going to index.html. I'm going to link out to an image called dolphin.jpg. Now this exists in the folder that houses my program links.html. And I'll change the text from index page to dolphin image. Okay, I'll do a file, save. Over in my web browser, I'll do a refresh. And now I've got the text dolphin image. So if I click on this, the dolphin image should come up. There it is. And if I hit the back arrow, I'll go back to my link.html page. And let's see that dolphin one more time. So if I click on the dolphin image, it links out to the image in my folder. And it's beautiful. So the last thing I want to talk about with links is external paths. External paths can be referenced with a full URL or with a path relative to the current web page. The first example on top that I'll highlight is using a full URL to link out to a web page. So the URL I'm using is going to the Eclipse and Park Half Moon Library web page, and then I'm going into the events web page inside of the website. So that's the first one. And the second one is when you want to link to a page located in the images folder, in this case, on the current web folder, the current folder. So the program that I've created is called link.html. So here I'm crawling. So my main folder is called my website, and inside that I created another subfolder called images, and inside images is the eurovan.png image file. So if you look at this second way to link, it's basically calling the subfolder images to grab the image eurovan.png. And the last way to link out is just by calling a file that's in the folder where your program lives. So links.html lives in the my website folder, and so does style.html, which I'm calling down here the third way. All right, so I'm going to do a file, and I'll do a save. And I'll go over to my web browser session, and I'm going to do a refresh. So the first link is Clifton Park Library. I click on that. It brings me to the library's webpage, and then it brings me into the events area, which has the whole calendar for the month of June, where you can find HTML fundamentals on Tuesdays and Python fundamentals on Thursdays. All right, so I'm going to go back now. Now the second way to link out is holding a subfolder. So if I click on Eurovan image, oh, not found. Let me try and fix that. So the second way to link out is by calling the subfolder images, and then images holds the eurovan.png file. So if I click on Eurovan image in my web browser, boom, there's a Eurovan image. All right, and the last way to connect a link is just by calling a file that's that's in the same folder that your program is in. So I have style.html in the same folder that link.html lives. So if I click style.html, it brings up what's in my style.html program. And that's it for the next section that we're going to talk about is images. So the image tag, the img tag in HTML, is used to add images to your website, which is super important. Just like links, images are extremely important for your web pages. So let's see. First, let's get rid of some of these. And what we'll do is we will add an image tag. So it is, so it's lesson sign img space src for source equals, so the source attribute equals double quote, and I'm gonna use I'm gonna try and show you a hawk image, wk.jpg, double quotes, and I will also add this is a required attribute called alternate text, ALT. So ALT equals, and double quotes, and we'll have, I'll just put some text in there. HAWK image. Double quotes, and I'll close out the image tag. Now the image tag is not a container tag, so there's not an open and closing tag. There's just a single tag. And now the hawk.jpg file lives in the folder that houses this link.html page. Well, I'm going to change the name. I'm going to call this the other file. I'll do save as. And I'll call it, I'll go out to my website. And I have to change the save as type to all files. And I will call this image.html. All right, so now I have it all saved. And I'll go into File Explorer. I'll pull up my file. So I call the image. So I'll double click on image.html, and up comes a hawk. So that is the first example of how to use an image. So let's go over the syntax of the image tag. So you start with a lesson sign img. You have to have the source attribute, the src equals, and then name of your file. And then you have to have the alt attribute, which is alt equals, and then you put some text in there. And the purpose of the alt attribute is that alt stands for alternate, and so it provides alternate text for your image. Just in case the user for some reason cannot view it because of like a slow connection on their computer, or there's an error in the source attribute, meaning you put in the source attribute, you put the wrong name here and the image isn't coming up. And then also if you have a user who is uses a screen reader, so they're disabled and they can't see, so but they can hear correctly. So the alt image allows them to be able to see the text or hear the text with the screen reader. Now, the value, the text that you put into the alt attribute should describe the image. So the example I have is I put the text in Href image to describe what the image is. Now, if I put the wrong file name in for the source attribute, so say I put I did a typo, so I put hhawk.jpg. Now, if I save this file, we're not going to see the image because it doesn't exist. It was spelled incorrectly. But we should be able to see the text Href image. All right, so I save the file. I will refresh the page. The Href image doesn't come up, but the text Href image does come up. So that's why the alt attribute for the image tag is required. Now let's talk about the image size. All right, so there's a couple ways to size your image on your web pages. You can by using the width and height attributes, or by using a style, using the style attribute in your image tag, and calling up the width and height properties. So first, I'm going to show you how to use the style attribute. So in your image tag, you have your source. I'll correct the source name of Href to Href.jpg, and you have your alt attribute, and then you remember doing style, right? So you have the style attribute, style equals double quote, and then I'm going to do the width colon, and I'll make it pretty. I won't make it too big. So how about 200 pixels, px? And pixels are they're basically each pixel is a dot on the screen. So the more you have, the bigger the image, the bigger the picture. So I'm just going to use 200 pixels, and then remember to use the semicolon to have if you have multiple properties for the style attribute. And so the other property I'm going to add is height, and that'll be colon, and I'll make that 200 also. And then I will do a double quote to close out the style. So I will now save it. Come back here, refresh, and you see the Href. And the image is 200 by 200. So why don't we change that and make it 500? 500 by 500. And width and height. And I'll do a file, save, go back to my browser, I'll refresh it, and now the image is quite a bit bigger. It's 500 pixels high and 500 pixels wide. Now another way to set the width and height on your image is by not using the style, but by just using the width and height attributes for the image tag. Go back to here. So I'll get rid of style here, and I'll just set it width equals double quotes 500. Yes, width equals 500 pixels, double quotes. I'll get rid of the semicolon. Height. Height equals double quotes Yes. And your height and width, and that should be all set. Now I'm going to I don't know if you remember from last session, but I'm going to comment out the top image, which is a lesson sign, exclamation point, hyphen, hyphen, and then where I want it to end the comment, you do hyphen, hyphen, greater than sign. All right. So I will do a file. I'll do save. Go back here. I'll refresh. Boom. There it is. I'll make this smaller so we can see the difference. But there are just two different ways on adding height and weight to your image. I'll do a file save. So I made now it should be smaller. Yep, it's down to 300 pixels by 300 pixels. So since there are two ways to add width and height, you can either use the style attribute with the width and height properties, or you can add width and height attributes to the image tag. Always specify the width and height of an image. If width and height are not specified, the page might flicker while the image loads. So since you can use either way to specify width and height, but I highly suggest that you use the style attribute because it prevents style sheets from changing the size of the image. So if you look at Notepad, what I've done is I've created CSS style in the head section on top. So in the head section, you can add style tags. And so I'm saying whenever you have an IMG image tag, make that image tag have a width of 100% of the size of the screen, the width of the screen. All right, so this is cascading style sheet style for my image tags on this web page. So what it's saying is, if you use the style attributes like I'm using here in the first example, then any CSS styles connected to this page, like I have above here, are going to override what I have as a width or height attribute. All right. So that's why I'm saying you want to use the style attribute, which is here in the first example, not the width and height attribute, which is in the second example down here. Okay, so I'm going to run this, and this image should come out unaffected by the style sheet, by this CSS style. So this should have a width of 300 pixels. But this example down here, which uses the width and height attributes, that should have a very wide, the full width of the screen image. So I'll do a file, I'll do save, come back to the browser, and what I'll do is I will refresh my page. All right, so you got the first one with text. All right. So the image below uses a style attribute where the width is set to 300 pixels, which overrides the style sheet. But the image on the bottom, the image below uses the width attribute where the width is set to 300 pixels, but the style sheet overrides it and sets the width to 100%. You see how the width is pretty much the width of the whole screen, the whole page. All right, so what I'm saying is I recommend that you use the style sheet. I mean, you use the style attribute, this one right here. All right. All right. So besides images, I want to briefly talk about video. So in HTML we have video tags, and if you look at the my Notepad session, you can see I've got an opening video tag, and I've got a width, height, and then I've got a controls attribute and an autoplay attribute. And inside the video tags, I've got a source attribute with src equal to the movie I want to play, and that movie is pointing to a movie that would be in the folder where the program lives. In this case, my program is called video.html. And you're telling it what type of video format it is. So type equals video/MP4. And then you have some text that says your browser does not support video. So let me explain the different parts of this, of the video tag and the different attributes. Okay, so on top you have the video tags, you have controls. Controls attribute basically adds video controls like play, pause, volume. Then you have the width and height attributes. It's always a good idea to set the width and height, because if they're not set, the page might flicker while the video loads. Then you have, inside the video tags, you have the source element with an src attribute and a type attribute. This specifies the video file that you want the browser to choose, and it will play the first recognized format. So you should have multiple sources here, and you should have multiple videos or multiple of the multiple formats of the same video. And lastly, the text down at the bottom here is it will only be displayed in the browser if the browser does not support the video element. So if it can't play it, then you'll see this message that hey, the browser doesn't support this video format. And that's all I'm going to talk about for video. I know video is a huge thing in web browser, in web pages right now. So I just wanted to cover video real quickly. And one thing I forgot to mention with video though is the autoplay. And the autoplay attribute, what that will do is when you go to the web page, when the user goes out to the web page, it will automatically start the video. Now the autoplay attribute is not something you can use on a mobile device. So it wouldn't autoplay on a mobile device or like an iPad. So that's it for video. Lastly, for tonight's session, I want to talk briefly about lists, HTML lists. You have, in HTML, you have an unordered list and an ordered list. And all right, so lastly tonight, if you look at my Notepad screen, you can see I've got an unordered list here that's highlighted, and I've got an ordered list down below. All right, so for unordered lists, you're gonna have why don't I put a tag in here? I'll do a heading tag, page 1. and I will call it unordered list one, and then I'll do the same down here. This guy. And for the ordered. Alright, so first, unordered list. You start with an opening and closing UL tag for unordered list. And inside you have LI items. So your LI stands for list item. Alright, so you got opening and closing list items. In between them, you have the name of the item. So I'm doing a grocery list. So say I have bread, sugar, and then the third item is Fruit Loops. And then you close it out with the unordered list UL tag. And for ordered list, now these will be displayed. The unordered list, the items will be displayed with the default is a bullet in front of each item. For the ordered list, you start with the OL tag for ordered list, and same as the unordered list, you have LI items, so list items, bread, sugar, and Fruit Loops, and you close it out with the OL tag, the ordered list tag. And for ordered list, the default will be in front of each item. You'll have number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. There are other settings you can do for the unordered list and for the ordered list. You don't have to use the default of bullets or numbers, but those are the ones that are used most often. So it's almost always bullets for unordered lists and numbers for ordered lists. So I'm going to save the file. I saved it as list.html. And I'll come over to my web browser, and I'll go into File Explorer and go out to my website, or my web folder, and I will click on List. And there we are. So I've got the H1 heading tag, unordered list. So you see you have a bullet in front of bread, sugar, and Fruit Loops. And then for the ordered list, I've got numbers 1, 2, and 3 in front of each item. And there's a lot you can do with lists. To display things neatly on your web page. So that's going to be it for tonight, and we'll have one more session for HTML next Tuesday. And I hope you got something out of the class tonight. Links and images are extremely important. Using style is very important also. And I will see you next week. Look to go out to the Google Classroom, and I'll have some exercises for you to do during the week. And I will talk to you next time.